The year was 1954, less than a decade after Japan was bombarded with the first atomic weapons. The nuclear age had begun.
But one of these atomic weapons woke something up. Godzilla! This ginormous radioactive kaiju decimated Japan. Things looked pretty bad until a scientist deployed a bomb strong enough to kill the monster. The Oxygen Destroyer, which does exactly what it says on the tin.
Right, Dr. Serizawa's bomb could specifically target and destroy oxygen molecules, liquefying most living tissue. This weapon was so dangerous, Serizawa feared its very existence threatened the entire human race.
So he went down martyr style, taking out Godzilla and all knowledge of his weird bomb. All that remained was Godzilla's bones.
Probably for the best. Still, a weapon like that might have come in handy when, a few decades later, another Godzilla showed up.
Surprise, bitches! Brrr!
Turns out, Japan had been the target of many different types of kaiju for years, and had developed an anti-monster defense force to combat them.
Unfortunately, their super powerful maser cannons barely even scratched this new Godzilla. Just look at him, doesn't even care.
Like the Oxygen Destroyer before, Japan needed a new weapon to combat Godzilla. They gathered their foremost experts in the fields of robotics, microwaves, low-temperature physics, and someone whose work can only be described as cyber necromancy. Together, these leading scientists developed a revolutionary weapon like nothing before it.
Mechagodzilla!
Sure, technically this isn't the first Mechagodzilla we've seen, but it's certainly the deadliest and the most unique. So much so, it was given its own distinct name. Kiryu, a combination of kanji meaning machine and dragon.
Kiryu? Sounds lame. I'll stick with Mechagodzilla, thank you. Standing 60 meters tall and weighing 40,000 tons with full gear, this badass cyber monster is loaded with all sorts of weapons. Rocket launchers, rail cannons, grappling wires, spinning drill hands, a battering ram jetpack, and even retractable Assassin's Creed blades with an extra zap. And just like Zilla himself, Mecha G fires laser beams from his mouth. This twin maser cannon is twice as powerful as the maser guns that successfully killed other non-Godzilla giant monsters.
Kiryu is certainly skilled in melee combat and is surprisingly athletic for its size.
Look at it go!
However, with its enormous arsenal, it is far better suited to long-range strikes. Like with its ultimate weapon, the Absolute Zero Cannon.
Damn! So it's like a super ice beam?
As the name suggests, it unequivocally brings its target's temperature to absolute zero, or 0 Kelvin. But this beam isn't just freezing its target, it's literally destroying all of its existing energy at once. A practically impossible feat of physics. This results in crushing the entire target from within at an atomic level.
Oh my god, Zilla!
Speaking of which, Kiryu is actually built around the skeletal remains of the original Godzilla, giving him all the size and strength of the King of the Monsters.
So it's kinda like they're pulling off a robotic Weekend at Bernie's with Old Man Godzilla's bones? Amazing.
Kiryu also utilizes biochemical and molecular-based DNA computers, which are actually based on real-life experimental technology. This infused Godzilla's own DNA to improve operation speeds and give Kiryu subconscious motor control, sort of a simple AI, which lets it perform some limited actions on its own, exactly like my own Cyber Goose. With the skeleton of a goose and some extra parts I had lying around, I say he's a masterpiece of modern science.
Well, he's got 2 heads now, so do we call him a goose or a geese?
It's a goose. Just one goose.
But 2 heads make 2 goose, therefore a geese.
It's a goose!
Oh yeah, this version's much better.
Kiryu is piloted by Lieutenant Akane Yashiro, a longtime member of the Anti-Megalosaurus Force, and your standard self-loathing anime protagonist.
She thinks she's worthless because she has no parents and accidentally got some of her friends killed. So now nobody really likes her, which is, real bummer. But hey, cheer up, lady! You get to fight giant lizards with a big-ass killer robot, and that's freaking awesome!
Akane doesn't technically pilot from within Kiryu, but rather from a nearby jet plane, the AC-3 White Heron, which can fly over 900 kilometers per hour. Under Akane's control, Kiryu has battled Godzilla several times, and always came out on top.
But plot twist, Akane isn't Mechagodzilla's only pilot. It turns out there's someone else behind the controls. A ghost in the machine. It's the spirit of the original Godzilla! Surprise again, bitches! It's Ghost Robot!
The DNA mind of Godzilla can wrestle the mech from Akane at any point, causing her to lose complete control.
Giving the king another chance to trash Japan again! Always fun to relive the good old days.
Though it is strongly implied Akane and Kiryu came to an understanding of sorts, realizing that they were each shadows of a tragic past struggling to find purpose in life.
Like college roommates.
Regardless of who is steering the ship, Kiryu is an extremely tough machine.
He's lifted and thrown Godzilla around like a sack of potatoes, and this version of the Big G weighed 25,000 tons.
Kiryu actually survived being at the epicenter of its own Absolute Zero blast, and multiple direct hits from Godzilla's atomic breath attack.
Which is even strong enough to overpower the Absolute Zero.
Kiryu is even fast enough to dodge the atomic breath, which, based on this instance where an older Mechagodzilla forced the beam into space, likely travels faster than Mach 2 speeds. Kiryu itself could also fly from Alaska to the middle of Russia while carrying another kaiju in just a few minutes. Given how quickly Kiryu's fuel burns in flight, in order to make it, Kiryu was likely flying around Mach 40.
But that's sadly the Mecha Monster's biggest flaw. Its battery life is worse than the goddamn Nintendo Switch.
While the White Herons can use microwave tech to recharge Kiryu on the fly, a full charge only runs for about 2 hours at most. And using more intensive features like jet flight and the Absolute Zero cannon drains it much, much faster. In fact, just one use of the Absolute Zero drains 40%.
But who cares when he's so badass he can tear you apart in just a few minutes? With all this power at his metal fingertips, this is one epic machine. No man or beast stands a chance against the might of Mechagodzilla.
Kiryu? お前にはわかるよね。さあ、そろそろ行こうか。